Every action, every decision, every single event in your life may not be happening by accident. What you're experiencing at this very moment could be a result of something far more mysterious than just random occurrences. Scientists studying quantum mechanics have uncovered something unsettling. Your thoughts aren't just fleeting electrical signals inside your brain. They might be sending out invisible instructions to reality itself. For years, mainstream science has insisted that reality exists independent of observation. But groundbreaking discoveries in quantum field theory suggest otherwise. The very act of observing something appears to influence what happens next. If that's true, then the way you think could be actively rewriting the world around you. Not metaphorically, not symbolically, literally. Most people never question the nature of reality. They assume life unfolds in a predetermined, mechanical way. But what if reality isn't fixed? What if everything, your circumstances, your opportunities, even the way people respond to you, is shifting in direct response to your thoughts? The implications are staggering. Pioneering physicists like David Bohm, Joe Dispenza, and Amit Goswami have all pointed to the same conclusion. They argue that consciousness isn't just a passive observer of the universe. It's the architect. Your mind, whether you realize it or not, is interacting with the quantum field in ways that are actively shaping your experiences. And yet, most people are completely unaware of how much power they hold. Right now, you might be unknowingly creating outcomes you don't even want, simply because your thoughts are sending the wrong signals into the field. But that also means there's a way to take control, a way to shift from being a passive bystander to the master of your own reality. The most cutting-edge research in quantum mechanics reveals something that has been hidden in plain sight. The universe responds to the energy of your thoughts. But here's the real question. If this is true, why do so many people struggle? Why don't thoughts always manifest the way people expect? And more importantly, how can this hidden mechanism be used to shape life deliberately? To answer that, we need to break apart the illusion of solid reality and expose what's truly happening beneath the surface. Everything around you seems solid. The chair you're sitting on, the device in your hands, even your own body. These things feel real, tangible, unchangeable. But modern physics tells a different story. At the most fundamental level, none of it is solid. What you see and touch is nothing more than a vast web of energy, particles shifting in and out of existence at speeds beyond comprehension. But here's where it gets unsettling. These particles don't behave the way you'd expect. Unlike ordinary objects that move in predictable ways, quantum particles exist in a state of uncertainty. They don't settle into one form until they are observed. In other words, reality isn't set in stone. It waits for something to tell it what to become. And that something is consciousness. One of the most famous experiments in physics, the double-slit experiment, exposed this mystery in ways that still baffle scientists today. When particles are fired through two slits toward a screen, they should behave like tiny bullets, forming two neat lines where they land. But that's not what happens. Instead, they spread out in wave-like patterns, as if they're existing in multiple places at once. Here's where it gets eerie. The moment a conscious observer decides to measure which slit the particle goes through, everything changes. The wave-like behavior disappears, and the particle behaves as if it made a definite choice. The mere act of observation forces it to pick a reality. But who or what is making that decision? David Bohm, one of the most brilliant theoretical physicists of the 20th century, suggested something radical. He proposed that there is an unseen order behind all reality, a deeper layer of existence he called the implicate order. According to Bohm, everything we perceive is just a projection from this hidden realm, much like a hologram. If this is true, then what we consider to be real is not a fixed structure but a flexible system that can be altered by consciousness itself. This challenges everything we think we know about existence. It means the universe isn't a cold, mechanical system running on autopilot. Instead, it's alive, fluid, and responsive. And most importantly, it's reacting to you. Now, Skeptics might argue that thoughts are just chemical reactions in the brain and have no impact on the external world. But quantum field theory suggests otherwise. The entire universe operates as an interconnected energy field, where everything is entangled in ways we're only beginning to understand. If thoughts carry energy and all energy influences the quantum field, then your mind isn't just observing reality. It's actively creating it. The implications are staggering. If observation collapses potential into reality, then what you focus on the most could be determining what shows up in your life. But this raises an even bigger question. Why do some thoughts manifest easily while others seem to have no effect? The answer lies in the hidden language of the quantum field. Physics doesn't operate on words, beliefs, or intentions alone. It functions through coherence, the alignment of energy patterns. And here's where most people go wrong. They assume thinking about something is enough to bring it into existence. But if their thoughts are scattered, contradictory, or filled with doubt, they send out conflicting signals, causing the quantum field to respond with chaos. For example, if someone wants success but constantly fears failure, they're generating two opposing energy patterns. The field receives both signals simultaneously, leading to stagnation. This is why most people fail to manifest what they desire. It's not because manifestation doesn't work, but because their energy is misaligned. Joe Dispenza, a leading researcher on consciousness and the quantum field, explains that the secret lies in elevated emotions. Thought alone is not enough. Emotion is the true transmitter. When a thought is paired with a powerful emotional charge, whether it's excitement, gratitude, or certainty, it amplifies the signal sent to the quantum field. The stronger the emotional energy behind the thought, the faster reality responds. But there's something even more bizarre happening beneath the surface. Quantum entanglement, one of the most mysterious aspects of physics, suggests that once two particles become linked, they remain connected no matter how far apart they are. A change in one instantly affects the other, even if they're light years away. Now, apply this concept to your own mind. If thoughts are energy, and energy can become entangled across vast distances, then the thoughts you produce could be influencing reality beyond what you can physically see. This means every thought is already interacting with the external world in ways science is only beginning to measure. This leads to an inevitable conclusion. If you're not consciously directing your thoughts, then something else is shaping your reality for you. Whether it's societal programming, subconscious fears, or habitual thinking patterns, the quantum field is always responding. The only question is, what are you allowing it to respond to? Understanding this hidden blueprint of reality is the first step. But unlocking its full potential requires more than just knowledge. It demands action. And in the next part, we'll expose the exact mechanism behind how your thoughts interact with the quantum field, and how to take full control of the process. Thoughts are not just private, isolated experiences trapped inside the brain. They extend far beyond the mind, influencing the very fabric of reality. This is not speculation. It's a conclusion emerging from quantum physics. Everything in existence, including thoughts, operates as vibrational energy. What you think, feel, and focus on is sending an invisible signal into the quantum field. But here's the unsettling part. Most people are broadcasting signals that create chaos instead of control. Quantum field theory suggests that reality is not a static, predetermined structure. Instead, it exists as a sea of infinite possibilities, each waiting to take form. Your mind acts as a transmitter, selecting from this field of potential and bringing specific outcomes into existence. But the key factor that determines which possibility becomes real is the quality of the signal being sent. This is where most misunderstandings arise. People assume they are thinking clearly about what they want, yet they receive outcomes they never intended. The reason is simple. They are sending mixed signals. The quantum field does not respond to words or surface-level desires. It responds to frequency, coherence, and emotional intensity. Joe Dispenza's research into neuroplasticity and quantum energy reveals that the thoughts with the strongest emotional charge create the most significant shifts in reality. When a thought is paired with a deep emotional state, it becomes far more than just an idea. It becomes a powerful energetic command. The stronger the emotional intensity, the greater the impact on the field. But here's the real problem. Most people allow their thoughts to be dictated by their external environment. They see struggle, limitations, and obstacles, and their minds reinforce these conditions by repeatedly focusing on them. Without realizing it, they are broadcasting a reality of struggle back into the field, ensuring that the same circumstances keep appearing. To break this cycle, it is essential to understand how the quantum field processes information. Unlike traditional cause and effect logic, the field operates through resonance. It matches the frequency of your dominant thoughts and emotions, reflecting them back in the form of experiences. If someone constantly worries about failure, the field amplifies that vibration, creating situations that reinforce those fears. If someone feels gratitude for success, even before it physically manifests, the field aligns circumstances to match that emotional frequency. The most powerful evidence supporting this comes from experiments on quantum entanglement. When two particles become entangled, a change in one instantly affects the other regardless of distance. This suggests that reality is interconnected in ways that defy classical physics. Now, apply this concept to thoughts. If a person's mind is constantly emitting signals into the quantum field, those signals could be instantaneously influencing external events, far beyond what is physically visible. Amit Goswami, a leading physicist in the study of consciousness and quantum mechanics, explains this concept through the idea of quantum choice. He suggests that consciousness does not just observe reality, it actively participates in shaping it. This means that every thought is essentially a choice that selects one potential outcome from the infinite possibilities available in the quantum field. But this process is not automatic. The reason why most thoughts fail to manifest is because they lack coherence. Coherence is the synchronization of thought, emotion, and energy into a single focused signal. Without it, the mind generates conflicting patterns that cancel each other out. For example, if someone desires financial success but internally believes that money is hard to obtain, these two signals contradict each other. The quantum field receives both inputs and neutralizes the effect, preventing any significant change from occurring. This is why so many people feel stuck, even when they consciously try to think positively. Their deeper subconscious beliefs are interfering with the transmission. The process of mastering this connection involves 3 key steps: clarity, emotional alignment, and repetition. 1. Clarity. The mind must send a precise signal free from contradiction. Instead of vague desires, specific intentions must be formed. The more defined the thought, the stronger the resonance with the quantum field. 2. Emotional alignment. The thought must be reinforced with a matching emotional state. The quantum field does not recognize intellectual concepts alone, it responds to energy. Feelings of certainty, gratitude, and joy act as amplifiers, increasing the signal strength. 3. Repetition. One-time thoughts have little impact. The mind must consistently maintain a particular frequency over time for the field to register it as a dominant pattern. This is why habits of thought shape long-term reality. The issue most people face is inconsistency. They may think positively for a short period but then fall back into habitual doubt and fear. This inconsistency weakens the signal, causing mixed results. To truly shift reality, thought patterns must remain stable, unwavering, and emotionally reinforced. One of the most compelling findings in quantum consciousness studies is the role of belief. Belief acts as a stabilizer for thought frequency. When someone fully believes in an outcome, they maintain a continuous energetic alignment with that reality, increasing the probability of its manifestation. This is why placebo effects in medicine work, not because the treatment itself is effective, but because the mind believes it is, causing the body to respond accordingly. If the mind can influence physical healing through belief, then it stands to reason that belief can also shape external events. The quantum field operates under the same principle. It mirrors the certainty projected into it. Now, skeptics argue that thoughts alone cannot change reality in any meaningful way. But quantum theory challenges this assumption. If observation alters the behavior of particles, then it follows that consciousness is not passive. It is an active force, capable of interacting with and influencing the structure of existence. The most critical realization in all of this is that the field does not discriminate between positive and negative thoughts. It simply amplifies whatever is most consistently projected into it. This is why some people unconsciously attract negative experiences. They unknowingly reinforce those patterns through habitual focus. To consciously shape reality, the mind must become disciplined in its projections. Random, scattered thoughts will not create powerful change. But sustained, emotionally charged, and coherent thought patterns have the potential to reshape experiences on a fundamental level. Every moment, a choice is being made. The field is responding, adjusting, and reflecting based on the signals being received. Most people allow external circumstances to dictate their thoughts, unknowingly surrendering control over their reality. But those who understand the mechanics of this process can reverse the dynamic, shaping their environment through the intentional use of thought energy. This is not magic. It is physics. The same principles governing particles at the quantum level apply to consciousness. The mind is not separate from reality. It is a direct participant in its unfolding. Mastering this requires practice, awareness, and consistency. The field does not respond to temporary shifts. It aligns with sustained energy patterns. Those who take control of their mental frequency can access the deeper mechanics of creation, influencing their world in ways most people never realize are possible. But here's the final question. If thoughts are powerful enough to reshape reality, is there a way to accelerate the process? Can shifts happen instantly rather than over time? The answer lies in a forgotten method hidden within quantum physics, one that allows immediate shifts into new timelines. In the next part, we will break down the three-step technique that ancient wisdom and modern quantum mechanics both confirm, the process of instant reality transformation. Reality is not as rigid as it seems. The physical world appears stable, but beneath the surface, everything exists as probabilities. Each moment presents an array of possible outcomes, and the mind is the key that selects which of those outcomes become real. This isn't just theory, it's a principle demonstrated in quantum experiments, where observation alone determines how particles behave. If the universe is structured this way, then the question isn't whether reality can shift instantly, it's how to consciously command that shift. Most people assume change takes time. They believe external circumstances must gradually adjust before a new reality forms. But quantum physics suggests an entirely different mechanism. Change occurs the moment the mind shifts into alignment with a new possibility. The reason most people fail to experience instant transformation is not because it's impossible. It's because they unconsciously resist it. They cling to old identity patterns, reinforcing the very reality they wish to escape. But there's a method that overrides this resistance. Ancient spiritual traditions have hinted at it for centuries, and modern quantum mechanics confirms its validity. This method consists of three precise steps: detachment, frequency collapse, and quantum selection. Each step is designed to bypass the mental barriers that slow manifestation and instead create an immediate shift into a new timeline. Step 1. Detachment, collapsing the old reality. The first barrier preventing instant transformation is attachment. The mind is conditioned to believe in the absolute solidity of the current reality, reinforcing its continuation. Every time someone reacts emotionally to a situation, they anchor themselves deeper into that version of reality. This is why people experience repetitive cycles, because they are unconsciously holding on to them. Detachment is the process of collapsing the energy structure of the current reality. This does not mean ignoring life or suppressing emotions. It means ceasing to fuel the existing pattern with mental and emotional reinforcement. The moment a person stops reacting to an unwanted situation, they withdraw the energy that sustains it. Think of quantum superposition, the state where a particle exists in multiple possibilities at once. It only chooses a specific state when observed. Reality functions the same way. When someone is emotionally fixated on their current circumstances, they keep observing that version of reality, locking it in place. By withdrawing attention from it, they return it to a fluid state where other possibilities become accessible. This is why detachment is so difficult for most people. They fear that if they let go of their worries, they will lose control. But in reality, the opposite happens. Letting go returns control to the individual because it allows them to choose a new trajectory without interference from past programming. Detachment requires a suspension of certainty. Instead of assuming reality must continue the way it always has, one must recognize that infinite alternatives exist and that they are not bound to any single outcome. The moment this realization becomes internalized, the current reality starts to weaken. Step 2. Frequency collapse, reprogramming the mind's default signal. Once detachment is achieved, the next step is to collapse the previous frequency and install a new dominant signal. This is the stage where most people fail, not because they lack the ability to manifest change, but because their mind is still emitting the old frequency of their past. The quantum field does not recognize words, it recognizes energetic signatures. Every thought and emotion generates a distinct vibrational pattern. If someone desires success but internally feels unworthy, the dominant frequency being emitted is not success. It is lack. The field does not respond to surface desires. It responds to the deepest subconscious signals. To collapse the previous frequency, one must create an immediate and total shift in internal state. This is not a gradual process. It is a direct, overwhelming reconfiguration of the mind's dominant energy. The fastest way to achieve this is through peak emotional activation. Peak emotional activation occurs when a thought is charged with an extreme level of conviction. It is not passive wishing, it is the complete and total embodiment of a new belief. The body must feel as if the new reality is happening right now. Neuroscientist Dr. Joe Dispenza refers to this as biological upgrading, a process where the body and mind synchronize into a new identity. When a person's thoughts and emotions are aligned with a future possibility so intensely that their body believes it is already real, they collapse the old frequency and install a new one. The quantum field then responds by materializing external events to match this internal shift. This is why ordinary affirmations often fail. Repeating words without emotional activation does not generate enough signal strength to create a change. The shift must be so dramatic and immersive that the previous version of reality no longer feels relevant. The quickest way to generate peak emotional activation is through sensory overload techniques, methods that engage the mind and body simultaneously to amplify the intensity of the new frequency. These include extreme gratitude shock, forcing the mind to feel overwhelming gratitude for an outcome before it physically appears. This convinces the subconscious that the new reality is already happening, triggering an automatic energy shift. Identity reversal. Instead of visualizing a future event, visualizing the past self looking back at the present moment as if the shift already occurred. This tricks the brain into bypassing doubt. A neurological overwrite, using high-energy breath work or sudden body movement while reinforcing the new belief. This physically programs the nervous system to accept the change as real. Once the new frequency is established, the final step is to make an irreversible selection in the quantum field. Step 3. Quantum selection, locking into the new timeline. At this stage, the shift is already underway, but without the final step, the old frequency may still try to pull the individual back. This is because the subconscious mind resists unfamiliar patterns. It defaults to previous programming unless the new signal is locked in. Quantum selection is the act of making an uncompromising commitment to the new reality. This is not about hoping or waiting, It is about acting as if the shift has already occurred. The quantum field responds to certainty. If there is any doubt, the previous reality remains active. The way to ensure quantum selection is by removing all return paths to the old reality. This means eliminating behaviors, beliefs, and environmental triggers that reinforce the previous frequency. If the mind senses an option to return to old patterns, it will. But if every exit is closed, the shift becomes permanent. This is why transformation feels so difficult for most people. They keep giving themselves mental escape routes back to their previous state. The quantum field cannot operate under uncertainty. A decision must be made as if there is no alternative. To solidify quantum selection, the mind must enter a state of unwavering certainty. This is beyond belief, it is a knowing. It is the state where there is no longer a question of whether the new reality is happening, because in the mind, it already has. Once this level of certainty is achieved, external reality begins rearranging itself instantly. Situations shift, opportunities appear, and the environment starts mirroring the internal change. The quantum field is not delaying the response. It is responding at the speed of energy. The key realization in all of this is that change is not dictated by time. It is dictated by alignment. When the mind and body fully align with a new reality, no time is required. The shift is immediate because the field is already responding in real time. But what happens when obstacles appear? Can these shifts override external resistance? In the next part, we will explore the hidden force within quantum mechanics that neutralizes all opposing energies, allowing unstoppable momentum toward any chosen reality. The moment a person initiates a quantum shift, resistance appears. This is not coincidence. It's a function of reality itself. The subconscious mind, conditioned by past experiences, resists unfamiliar patterns. The external world, which was previously aligned with an old frequency, does not immediately adapt to the new signal. These forces create what appears to be obstacles, delays, or contradictions. Most people mistake this resistance as failure. They assume their attempt to shift reality isn't working, so they revert to old habits, unknowingly reinforcing the very patterns they were trying to escape. But those who understand the mechanics of the quantum field recognize that resistance is not a sign of failure. It is proof that the shift is already happening. The key is not to avoid resistance, but to override it. This is done through a process known in quantum mechanics as coherence dominance. It is the mechanism by which one frequency overpowers another, forcing reality to adjust in its favor. Those who master this principle reach a state where obstacles can no longer hold them back, because the quantum field itself begins neutralizing opposition in real time. This principle is why certain individuals seem to defy all odds. They operate from such a high level of coherence that external conditions bend around them. Reality does not dictate their path. They dictate reality's path. The process of overriding resistance and forcing reality into alignment involves three key elements: energy dominance, quantum stabilization, and frequency anchoring. These techniques are what allow instant transformation to become permanent, creating a reality where opposition no longer exists. The first mechanism for overriding resistance is establishing energy dominance. In physics, when two waves interact, the stronger wave always forces the weaker wave into alignment. This is known as phase synchronization. The same principle applies to human consciousness. Reality is not a static structure. It is an oscillating field of probabilities, influenced by the most dominant energetic pattern. When a person's frequency is weak, they are easily overridden by external forces. They experience setbacks, interference, and struggle because their signal is constantly being overpowered by the dominant patterns of the environment. But when a person increases the intensity of their signal beyond the surrounding conditions, they become the overriding force. The external world must synchronize with them, not the other way around. This is the key distinction between those who shape reality and those who are shaped by it. Most people operate at low coherence levels. Their mental energy is scattered, inconsistent, and diluted by doubt. Their frequency does not hold enough power to override resistance. But those who master energy dominance operate at full intensity. Their signal is so strong that reality has no choice but to adjust. The fastest way to generate energy dominance is through a method called frequency acceleration. This involves a sustained emotional charge, holding a high-energy emotional state, such as certainty or gratitude, for an extended period to amplify the signal's strength, a non-reactivity training, deliberately withholding emotional reactions to external resistance, preventing the mind from sinking back into the old reality. Extreme focus locking, training the brain to fixate on a single reality path without entertaining alternatives, creating an impenetrable energetic field. When energy dominance is achieved, reality stops resisting. The environment bends to match the new frequency, because the weaker signal is always absorbed into the stronger one. Even after energy dominance is established, there is still a risk of frequency collapse, a phenomenon where the new reality begins to form but then falls apart due to subconscious instability. This happens because the mind's deeper programming is still wired for the old timeline. This is why people experience temporary breakthroughs followed by sudden failures. They achieve a shift, but their subconscious still operates under past conditions, pulling them back. The quantum field detects this internal inconsistency and reacts accordingly. To prevent this collapse, quantum stabilization must be enforced. This means locking the new reality into place so that it becomes the default energetic structure. The key to quantum stabilization is neural override conditioning, a process where the subconscious is flooded with so much reinforcement that it has no option but to accept the new timeline as permanent. Neuroscientific studies show that the brain reprograms itself fastest under two conditions. 1. Extreme repetition. The mind must be bombarded with identical signals until the old pattern dissolves completely. 2. Environmental consistency. The surrounding conditions must reflect the new timeline, preventing the subconscious from recognizing the old frequency. This is why rapid identity transformation always involves a complete shift in thought patterns, behaviors, and surroundings. A person who wants instant reality shifts but continues reinforcing past signals will always revert. The brain simply cannot hold a new frequency in an environment that contradicts it. Quantum stabilization is enforced by eliminating contradictory inputs. Any external influence, people, places, or habits that reinforces the old reality must be removed immediately. Surrounding the mind with future cues. The subconscious must be surrounded by symbols, images, and reminders of the new reality at all times. Induced mental saturation. Repeating the new timeline's core signal hundreds of times per day until the brain no longer questions it. Once quantum stabilization is complete, the new reality is no longer fragile, it becomes self-sustaining. External conditions can no longer pull the mind back because the subconscious no longer recognizes the old frequency as relevant. The final step in overriding resistance is frequency anchoring. This is the act of locking the new energetic pattern into the quantum field so deeply that no external force can disrupt it. Most people fluctuate between different mental states, which weakens their quantum signal. One day they believe in their new reality, the next they doubt it. This inconsistency destabilizes the timeline, preventing solid manifestation. Frequency anchoring removes this instability by creating energetic permanence. This means reaching a level where the new reality is not just thought, it is a biological certainty. The entire nervous system must be wired to recognize the shift as absolute fact. This level of anchoring is achieved through a hyperrealization training. The mind must be placed into deep immersion exercises where it experiences the new timeline as vividly as the present moment. A physical reality reinforcement, taking immediate and bold real-world actions that prove the shift has already occurred. Daily quantum calibration, a precise practice where the mind is resynced with the new reality every morning and night to prevent any drift. When frequency anchoring is complete, the individual no longer experiences opposition. The quantum field does not generate resistance because the new timeline is the only signal being transmitted. Obstacles disappear, struggle vanishes, and reality conforms effortlessly. At this point, reality shifting is no longer a process, it is a constant state. External events become predictable, manifestations occur instantly, and the physical world operates as a direct reflection of internal consciousness. In the next part, we will break down the final stage of quantum transformation, the ultimate shift where one moves beyond all limitations and begins to shape reality with total precision. The final stage of quantum transformation is total precision control. At this level, there is no resistance, no uncertainty, and no delay. Reality is no longer something to be shaped. It becomes an instantaneous reflection of the mind's dominant frequency. This is the rarest state of consciousness, achieved only by those who transcend all internal contradictions. These individuals do not just shift their reality occasionally. They exist in a state where reality continuously reconfigures itself around them, adjusting in real time to their thoughts and intentions. This level of mastery is not theoretical. Some of the greatest minds in history, physicists, mystics, and quantum researchers, have uncovered the precise mechanics of how this works. Their findings confirm that the quantum field is not bound by time, space, or causality in the way most people assume. It responds immediately to coherent signals, bypassing all conventional limitations. But very few individuals ever reach this state, because their minds remain bound by hidden energetic distortions, subtle doubts, subconscious resistance, and outdated neurological patterns. The ultimate shift occurs when these distortions are completely dissolved, allowing the mind's signal to achieve absolute purity. The process of reaching total reality control involves three critical phases: zero resistance alignment, instantaneous manifestation, and timeline precision control. These are the final refinements that make reality not just malleable, but entirely programmable. The first step to absolute control is achieving zero resistance alignment. This means reaching a state where there is no interference between intention and manifestation. Most people unknowingly block their own quantum shifts because their minds are filled with conflicting frequencies. They desire a new reality, but simultaneously send out signals of doubt, fear, or attachment to the past. These distortions slow down the manifestation process, causing delays or incomplete results. Zero resistance alignment removes all interference, allowing the quantum field to respond instantly and without distortion. The way this is done is through a process known as full-spectrum coherence. This occurs when the entire being mind, emotions, and energy field is unified into a single unwavering frequency. The requirements for achieving full-spectrum coherence are removing dual signals. Every thought, belief, or emotion that contradicts the desired reality must be eliminated at the root level. This means the mind must be fully reprogrammed so that not a single ounce of doubt remains. Emerging thought and experience. The desired reality must not just be thought about. It must be felt and lived internally as if it already exists. The nervous system must be rewired to register it as absolute fact. A quantum surrender mechanism. Attachment to a specific way the shift should unfold must be removed. The conscious mind must allow the quantum field to self-organize the path in the most efficient way possible. When zero resistance alignment is reached, manifestation becomes effortless. There is no struggle, no waiting, and no uncertainty. The new reality is locked in as the dominant quantum trajectory. Once full alignment is achieved, the next step is instantaneous manifestation. This is the ability to generate results in real time, without any delay between thought and external reality. Traditional manifestation techniques fail because they operate within linear time. They assume that change must unfold gradually, step by step. But in quantum mechanics, time is not a fixed progression. It is a malleable construct that bends according to frequency stability. Instantaneous manifestation occurs when the mind reaches zero-lag state, a condition where the internal and external worlds sync perfectly, removing all time delay between cause and effect. To achieve zero-lag state, the following methods must be applied. Elimination of future projection. The mind must stop seeing manifestations as something that will happen and instead shift into the state of it is already done. The quantum field reflects what is experienced in the present, not what is expected in the future. A frequency amplification loops, repeating a specific thought pattern with increasing intensity until it generates an immediate shift. This forces the timeline to collapse into the desired reality at once, rather than gradually. Removing time dependencies. Any belief that change takes time must be deleted. The mind must operate under the principle that time is an illusion, and manifestation occurs in direct proportion to frequency stability. Once zero-lag state is activated, reality responds on command. Desired outcomes appear without effort because there is no longer a gap between thought and existence. The final stage of quantum mastery is timeline precision control. This is where reality is no longer just shaped, it is selected with surgical accuracy. Most people shift timelines randomly without realizing it. Their reality constantly fluctuates based on uncontrolled thoughts, emotions, and external influences. This makes their manifestations inconsistent, unpredictable, and unstable. Timeline precision control eliminates randomness. It allows conscious selection of any reality trajectory with absolute certainty. This is done using 3 advanced techniques. A quantum command encoding, embedding specific reality instructions into the subconscious so that shifts happen automatically, without needing constant effort. An energetic timeline sealing. Once a timeline is selected, all alternative paths must be sealed off. The subconscious must be trained to recognize only one version of reality as real. Asynchronization protocols. The mind must be constantly recalibrated to ensure it is aligned with the exact frequency of the chosen timeline, preventing unwanted deviations. When timeline precision control is mastered, reality selection becomes as simple as adjusting a dial. External circumstances no longer dictate life outcomes. Personal choice does. At this stage, quantum transformation is complete. The individual operates from a state where reality is fully programmable. Manifestations occur instantly, external conditions shift effortlessly, and obstacles cease to exist. The quantum field no longer resists because the mind has achieved absolute coherence. The illusion of struggle, limitation, and delay is erased permanently. This is the final level of mastery, the point where reality is no longer something that happens to you. Instead, it becomes something you create on demand.